All right, let's talk about something I bet a lot of you have experienced. You get this amazing idea for an app. But then what? The technical side just feels like this huge, impossible mountain, right? And so the idea just fades away. Well, you are definitely not alone. And today, we're going to talk about a method designed to build a bridge right over that gap. And it's such a common story, isn't it? It's so frustrating. You have these brilliant concepts, ideas that could genuinely solve real-world problems, and they just get stuck. They die on the vine. And it's not because the idea itself is bad. It's because the path from your brain to a real working product feels totally, completely blocked. So what's going on here? Why do so many of these amazing ideas just hit a brick wall? Well, it usually comes down to the very first steps we take. The problem is, those first steps, they almost always lead us down the completely wrong path. Okay, so before we can get to the solution, we've got to really understand the problem. Think about it. When you get that great idea, what do? Most of us, we instinctively go down one of three paths. And spoiler alert, they're usually dead ends. So what are these paths? Well, path number one, I'll just learn to code. And look, that's a huge time investment, right? With a pretty low return unless your goal is to actually become a full-time programmer. Okay, path number two, I'll use no-code tools. These seem great at first, but they can be super restrictive and often force you to completely change how you already work. And finally, path three, I'll just hire developers. This is a big one. It's not just expensive, it's famous for creating these huge communication gaps that can totally sink the whole project. And you know what the result of all these paths is? It's pretty much always the same thing. This painful, frustrating cycle. The creator, that's you, struggles to get their vision across. The developers, trying their best, end up making the wrong assumptions, and the whole project just gets stuck in this loop of costly rework and completely blown timelines. It is a perfect recipe for disappointment. But what if the problem isn't your idea? And what if it isn't even the developer? What if the process itself is broken? This is where we introduce something called the Novel Software Kit, or NSK for short. It's a whole new framework that puts the idea right back where it belongs, at the absolute center of everything. So the NSK, it's designed for a very specific person, someone who's an expert in their field, but not a tech person. It cuts through all the jargon and complexity to give you a super clear, structured path to get from A to B, from concept to delivery. You can really think of it as that missing bridge between your brilliant idea and actual working software. And this is a really big deal because it's a fundamental shift in mindset. You know, the traditional way is to just rush straight to coding. But the NSK framework says, whoa, hold on. It insists that the most important first step, the absolute most crucial thing, is to clarify. You have to get the idea crystal clear before a single line of code is written. Collaboration, coding, all that stuff comes after clarity. It's an outcome, not the starting point. Okay, so how does the NSK actually do this? How does it create all this clarity? Well, it follows this really simple but incredibly powerful three-stage flow. It's a logical journey that takes your raw idea and turns it into something real, something tangible. It all starts with stage one, the story. This is all about the why. This is where we build the emotional and strategic heart of the project. From there, we move to stage two, the blueprint. This is where we nail down the what and the how in a super detailed plan. And finally, stage three is where we create the artifacts. And this is the tangible proof that really brings your vision to life. So let's look at stage one, the story. This part is all about the narrative, not the tech. We're talking about exercises like the airport conversation or mapping out the customer journey. The goal here is to build a rock-solid, human-centered foundation for your project. This makes sure that everyone, your partners, your future developers, everybody, gets the why right from the very beginning. Okay, so once we've locked in the why, stage two is where we build out the what and the how. This is the blueprint phase. And the main thing that comes out of this is something called the Novel Software Document, or the NSD. Seriously, think of this as the master plan for your entire project. It's the single source of truth that says this is exactly what we're building. No more guesswork for anyone. And that brings us to the final stage, stage three, creating the artifacts. And honestly, this is where the magic really happens. All that hard work you did to get clear, it now gets transformed into real, tangible things. Things that make your vision feel real, make it testable. And all of this happens before you spend a single dime on actual development. And these artifacts are basically your power tools. What do you get? First, an interactive prototype. This is a clickable version of your idea, so users can actually play with it like it's a real app. Then you get a pitch deck and a video explainer to help you sell the vision to partners or investors. And finally, you get a PAM, a project assessment memo. It's like a mini due diligence report on your own idea, an honest look at its strengths and risks. With all this, you have a complete package to move forward with total confidence. So, what does all this really mean for you? You, the person with the big idea? Well, it means a huge shift in how you should see your role in all this. Using a method like this, you're not just the client anymore, you are the developer. And this is so important, especially now with AI changing everything. The ability to just write code, it's becoming a commodity. You know who the most valuable person on a project is now? It's the subject matter expert, the person who actually deeply understands the problem you're trying to solve. And guess what? That's you. Your job isn't to write the code. It's to define the what and the why with complete and total clarity. This whole method just reframes the challenge. You stop asking that panicked question, how do I build this? And you start declaring, with confidence, here is the plan to deliver it. You literally shift from being a passenger on your own project to being the one in the driver's seat. So really, we need to redefine what we mean by developer. It's not just the person who's typing out the code. The strongest developers are the visionaries. They're the idea owners who have the clarity and the plan to deliver software that actually works, is genuinely useful, and solves a real-world problem. Your idea is brilliant. The only question that matters now is it clear? Because at the end of the day, clarity is the bridge that turns a great idea into a real product. And that's what we've covered in this explainer.